Now to the high tension and drama at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. The situation outside the compound is much calmer on Thursday after Iranian-backed paramilitary groups protesting the U.S. airstrikes in Iraq withdrew from the immediate area on Wednesday. There had been 2 days of demonstrations as Tehran and Washington traded threats. U.S. officials say the strikes on the Kataib Hezbollah weapons storage facilities and command and control locations were in response to a rocket attack that killed a U.S. defense contractor last week. VOA'S Arashar Basadi reports.
Top leaders of an Iranian-backed paramilitary group in Iraq ordered supporters to leave the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad after United States Marines arrived overnight from Kuwait aboard Apache helicopters. Helicopters circled the compound through daybreak, but militia leaders denied they were pressured to back down.
We don't care about the aircraft flying over our heads, nor about the news of America bringing more Marines. On the contrary, this shows psychological defeat and a big mental breakdown of the American administration.
The order to stand down comes after militia fighters and supporters stormed the embassy compound Tuesday. They broke glass and set fires in protest of a U.S. drone strike operation that targeted 5 Iranian-backed militia facilities in Iraq. The embassy attack highlights increased tensions between Washington and Tehran. Tuesday, President Trump tweeted, "Iran is orchestrating an attack on the U.S. Embassy in Iraq. They will be held fully responsible." On New Year's Eve, the president played down the idea of war.
I want to have peace. I like peace. And Iran should want peace more than anybody. So I don't see that happening. No, I don't think Iran would want that to happen. It would go very quickly.
Wednesday in Tehran, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei responded.
That gentleman again tweeted that Iran is controlling the situation in Iraq and the U.S. will respond. First, you can't do a damn thing. This has nothing to do with Iran. Second, be logical.
Analysts in the U.S. say the embassy attack is a calculated move to force the United States out of Iraq, one that could have dire consequences.
If the Iranians continue to try to push the United States out by further attacks on the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, what we're likely to see is a much more severe U.S. response, either at the Iranian homeland or somewhere else where Kataib Hezbollah is vulnerable. So this is precisely the kind of situation that can lead to a wider war.
For now, the confrontation seems headed for de-escalation, but with tensions still high, it isn't clear how long that will last. Arash Arabasadi, VOA News, Washington.
Now for more on the simmering situation in Iraq and what action the Pentagon is taking in response to the attack on the U.S. Embassy, let's go to VOA Pentagon correspondent Carla Babb, who is standing by live at the U.S. military headquarters in Arlington, Virginia. Hello, Carla.
Hi, Esther.
Now, what more can you tell us about this tense situation?
Well, Esther, I just got out of a briefing with the Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, and they said that they have sent a battalion of troops to Kuwait. That's about 750 soldiers to be there to help with U.S. protection, if needed, equipment protection and facility protection. We were asking about the status of the embassy. It's too early to tell the extent of the damage, but General Milley assured that the embassy is very strong and it is not going to be penetrated by any means necessary of what we saw over the last couple of days. He said he is fairly and highly certain that this embassy will not be overrun. And let's remember, when we talk about the embassy of the U.S. in Iraq, this isn't just a building. It's 100+ acres of land. And so he said that what we have seen with the protest and with the attacks that occurred, he said that this was merely a show, a demonstration for the cameras, and he is very confident that it was Kataib Hezbollah because he said that they were in uniform and they had a command and control area nearby.
Now, Carla, we've seen the U.S. use deterrence in the past to keep enemies in check. But I'm just wondering, are the Pentagon officials confident that this kind of attack is working and might be able to work in the Iraqi situation?
Well, Esther, I asked Secretary Esper that very question. Is deterrence working against Iran? You look at the United States soldiers in that area and Marines and airmen. There have been 11 attacks on bases that house U.S. and coalition forces in Iraq in the past 2 months. And so these are being blamed on Iranian-backed proxies. So when you look at it, it doesn't appear the deterrence is really working. And so would sending more troops make a difference, I asked. And he said, well, he doesn't know exactly how much it's going to take to have deterrence actually work. But he said that the additional troops are necessary to defend U.S. interests. And these troops will be based in Kuwait, like I said, and they will be able to be deployed wherever needed to protect interests and could take on additional missions as well after the situation calms down further at the Iraqi embassy.
Now, Carla, a lot of people have questions on how these protesters gained access to a protected zone. Maybe you can paint a little more picture of how the embassy location looks like, this green zone, and why these people were able to gain access to that area in such large numbers.
Well, yeah, so I've been to the green zone many times, and it is a protected area, but the U.S. portion of the green zone, like I said, it's not just a building, so people don't have to go through a bunch of different checks to get to a building. It's a massive complex, and so people can protest nearby. And so if they hurl a Molotov cocktail or something else with flames, there's a chance that they're going to hit some sort of area. But were U.S. Embassy employees really in a true danger? That's what we're still trying to find out, and the U.S. has so far said that no one was in danger, but they did try to evacuate people accordingly for precautionary measures, and they did send in additional Marines to help with the defense of the embassy. Let's keep in mind, though, U.S. Marines are not supposed to be the sole people defending this embassy. This is an embassy in Iraq, and the Iraqi government is supposed to be helping the United States defend this area. And Secretary Esper and General Milley have called time and again for Iraq to step up and do more to protect U.S. interests and the U.S. embassy. And Esper said just minutes ago that so far he hasn't seen sufficient moves forward on the part of the Iraqis.
Right, Carla, thank you very much. Carla Babb reporting live from the Pentagon for us tonight.